versus what looks to be Paladin. It could be a mid-range Paladin.
It's definitely a mid-range Paladin. There's just the card and heal bot, so definitely not a secret Paladin.
Well, it could be a more control-oriented Paladin. But
yeah.
Yeah. Could be a little bit slower, more grindy.
Two mini bots and 2 knife jugglers. Quite interesting hand.
Yeah. This can be a little bit of a rough matchup for mid-range Paladins. They have to put on a lot of pressure early in order to make it into the mid-game without severe vulnerabilities. Their hero power becomes a liability as the game goes on against patrons.
This is actually the perfect hand against Paladin. Having basically the most important card that you can have as a patron warrior against Paladin is the Ghoul, and especially if you have Ghoul followed up by Acolyte, and then you have Harrison Jones as well. Most patrons aren't even running Harrison Jones, so this is just an amazing hand. Getting a lot of card draw here. You don't even get punished by Divine Favor. Sometimes against Sacred Paladin we draw a lot. You sometimes get punished, but there is no Divine Favor in this deck list.
Yeah. And they can just push the face damage here, and knowing the shielded mini-bot can't really trade in, and knowing that if they played Muster for Battle, it would be a bad move because the Death Rattle from the Unsippable would kill off all the 1/1 tokens that were spawned. So it's tough to clear a board like that. Father Berserker picked up. Not the great now, but Kalkheimer is actually a great tool to start fighting back.
Kind of surprised to see no Muster go down. I think his reasoning is he'd be too weak to Whirlwind effects.
Yeah. Well, that's not a great pickup.
Yeah, I feel like so there's going to be a couple ways where UCLA can approach this patron game. One is to go for early Grim Patrons. Oftentimes it's hard for Paladin to have both Equality and Consecrate deal with. A lot of times Equality is a one of, but I think one of the marks of like a truly great patron player is to recognize when you need to take risks and when you don't. And I feel like this game is one where they can get far enough ahead just playing the control game and just go for OTK, because since he had such a great start and he has such a good hand to keep cycling and he's able to reduce pressure really well right now, I feel like he could just keep cycling until he gets enough combo cards and then just play Emperor and go for a one-turn kill.
Yeah.
That way you don't even have to play around until you Equality Consecrate, so you give your opponent no chance. The risk of that play is sometimes you give up your early patrons and you lose the late game. So it depends how confident you are in both. So you can really, like if you have a lot of experience with the deck, you can kind of judge these scenarios really well. And I think the biggest thing is the amount of card draw you get early. So since there's so much card draw.
Oh, they decided to execute the buffed up shielded mini-bot that was buffed up by the Kalkheimer after its Divine Shield had went away.
Yeah, I definitely like executing there. And Harrison Jones, that's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
At least he didn't get a Muster for Battle Harrison, which would have been even worse.
That basically takes away, 2 charges from the Kalkheimer as well as 1 charge from the True Silver Champion with that set of plays there. We'll see if they can pick off the Harrison Jones here. Only 1 juggle has to go into it, and then they'll be able to pick it off with the weapon. They do take 5.
Yeah. Not great RNG, but not awful either.
Oh, man!
So this is, so.
Yeah, and if UC San Diego
it's basically
is smart, they want to trade in.
He basically has to have a Quartermaster here. Without a Quartermaster, these 1/1s don't trade well enough against the Emperor, and also you don't pressure enough after. So yeah, if without the Quartermaster here, if he's forced to trade everything in, at this point he's not going to be able to pressure Patron enough before Patron gets the OTK combo.
Yeah.
I mean, he might already have it. Let's see, he
doesn't have enough mana yet. Yeah.
He basically needs 8 mana here to play all 3, and then he needs something like Deathspite and Inner Rage. But the problem here is that there's so little pressure on board now that he can survive long enough to get them at this point. So
yeah, and they could start using Battle Rage as just a cycle for like 1 card, because they already have like all the pieces that they need. They're just looking for slightly more. So especially with 2 in your hand, you can start using those to cycle a little bit more. And Know Which Advantage are a great pickup because it gets you even closer. Execute also. Wow, this is looking very grim. for UC San Diego.
Yeah, Execute can deal with Dr. Boom, which would give Patron even more time. At this point,
One turn late.
at this point with the second Patron, even you can even use one Patron just to go for board and use the second one for OTK.
Yeah.
So the best way to have OTK is actually a combination of Grim Patron and Frothing. I guess there's actually kind of like a somewhat of a misconception where people go for double Frothing as the kill, but
Yeah.
one Patron, one Frothing almost every time is going to be much more damage than double Frothing.
Yeah.
Just because at that point you could generate your own board for the Whirlwinds, and
Yeah.
you can get through taunts pretty much for free, since the patrons can trade for the taunts.
Yeah.
Not too much of a chance here for UC San Diego after this. There's Dr. Boom. Maybe the best chance is that there's no way to proc the 1 damage for Execute, but I'm sure he can kind of gimmick something up here.
Whoa.
Okay. I mean, it's so
All right,
hard.
so Warsong Commander, Frothing Berserker, Grim Patron.
I would say I would personally not do anything here other than Whirlwind Execute, because time's on your side. I feel you can just wait around. I might go for like some kind of like Armor Smith into Battle Rage after, but I guess with 2 patrons, definitely. I don't know. I guess he's going for it.
The Boombots could really punish him here, so this is actually a risky play.
I don't think he's playing a Frothing actually. He's just gonna go for 1 patron.
Patrons.
This makes a lot of sense with 2 patrons. The big thing is you're losing your Warsong, but you force them to have Equality Consecrate.
Yeah, throwing out the Armor Smith greatly reduces the chance that something catastrophic happens with these Boombots. Also, he can, propagate 1 additional one before he uses Whirlwind. The bad thing about that, though, is Dr. Boom actually lives because it doesn't give him enough mana. But,
well, he can trade.
Yeah, he can trade in here.
He can trade a patron, the last one, into Dr. Boom, and then execute it if he wants. Running out of time, this is one of the reasons why patron is so hard, especially in a team format like this.
Yeah, looks like they did get it off. They had to forego killing the last Boombot because they realized they were running out of time. Which is a good call. They got their priority straight. They didn't get too greedy.
Yeah, sometimes you got to make these calls, but unfortunately, for UC San Diego, there's no way for them to deal with the patrons.
That is brutal. It doesn't even take out the Warsong Commander, so can't even if it hit for 2, they would have been able to take it out with the Light's Justice. Yeah. That's rough. And not even wanting to risk playing the Knife Juggler first and, using more patrons. And that is not... The Lotheb might block that. Actually,
well,
no, with Whirlwind,
yeah,
it's
okay.
still going to be it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Well Played comes out. And wow, after 2, grueling, very long best-of-5 series, that was a very quick 3-0 sweep from UCLA.
Yeah. Patron has a massively favored matchup here. I feel like one of the only ways that mid-range Paladin wins is through early Quartermaster, but it's very hard because of all the rolling effects. You have to get kind of lucky through them not having whirlwinds through a muster battle early.
Yeah.
But if you do get like a 3 or 4 minion Quartermaster, you generally win the matchup. So.
Yeah, and we saw how close it actually was. The Quartermaster was actually 1 turn away from coming into the hand of UC San Diego, and if that was 1 turn earlier, that could have been a drastically different game. It still was an uphill battle, but it could have been quite a bit different.